Today I'm going to make one of my all-time favourite little novelty fireworks, the crackling ball. They're pretty easy to make, you don't need a whole lot of stuff. I've got a little board for putting the shells on to keep them from rolling around. I've got some little 1 inch or 1.25 inch Hemis that I'm going to make them out of. I make them in two sizes. I do a 1 inch and a 1.25 inch. Some paintbrushes, some glue, bit of a hand towel, and that's about all you need. Pretty simple really. First way we're going to start off, we'll fill one side of the Hemi up with dragon eggs. And then we'll fill that half right to the top with some fast willow black powder, quite a fine granule. I want this to be fairly fast. I want it to break open and spread the dragon's eggs out a bit. I don't want to put any flash powder or anything in there. It tends to throw them out too far, and it can also blow some of the dragon eggs out blind, so I always stick with just a fast black powder. That's the bottom section done. The top section's quite easy. Just drill a bit of a 2mm hole. I'm using 2mm Visco fuse, so I'll drill a 2mm hole in the Hemi, push the Visco fuse through. Now I like to leave roughly about 1 centimetre on the inside of that, because what happens, the Visco fuse will self-propel, so if you leave about 1 centimetre on the inside, once it's burnt through into the Hemi, that little piece will jet around inside and make sure it lights everything. Just going to put a bead of hot glue on there, just a dab on one side of it, and then just give him a twist around and poke him in there a little bit, and then just wipe it around. You've only just got to hold the fuse in there. So that's the top fuse side made. Just give that a second while the hot milk sets up. Now that's the other top I've already made. That's in there. The glue's set up, so that's nice and tight in there. I've got some PVA glue. This is straight and undiluted PVA. I'll use that to seal the balls up, because I do want them to seal fairly well. Just give that a paint around the edge. Try not to get any on the inside of the little Hemi, otherwise it sticks all your dragon eggs and your bursting charge to the side of the Hemi. So I'll just run a little bit of that around the edge like that, and then just drop him down, line him up nice and straight, put him on the top, squeeze him together, give the excess glue a little bit of a wipe off. Now with my little block here, I usually make these 9 or 10 at a time, and once I've got them all glued up, I'll usually put them in the dehydrator or the drying cabinet I've got there. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes at 70 degrees, and they're all set up. And then I'll just wrap a bit of the hand towel around the centre. Now I've got one that I've glued together. That's ready to go. I found if you leave them just like that, they don't tend to break too well. You don't want them to break too hard, but you don't want them to break too soft either. So what I usually do, once I've glued the two little Hemi halves together, is I'll get some other PVA glue that I've diluted down, about 70% PVA and about 30% water, and I'll just brush a little bit of that around the equator of the shell, all the way around, probably a little bit wider than what I've cut the tissue. Now it's not tissue, it's actually hand towel. It was a 2-ply hand towel, and I've torn it down to just a single ply. I found 2 plies too thick, it burst too hard then. And basically just where you've brushed the glue, just put a couple of strips on that, get all the way around. Breaks. I have tried using facial tissues, but they tend to break even worse than the hand towel does. And just the last little piece there. That's right, and just give him a bit of a roll around, and he's all stuck up on there. After that, I'll just go around very quickly with a paintbrush and a little bit more of the thinned down PVA. Just go right round him like that. You'll find these will break really well without going nuts. Also, if you're needing to recycle, that doesn't completely kill the Hemis, you can usually use them again. So once again, I'd put that off in the dehydrator at about 70 degrees. In about 10 minutes it'll be set up. I usually do them in bulk. They're the other ones that I make, which are the 1 inch Hemis. I've probably made up about 60 or 70 of these today, and I'm probably going to make about 20 or 30 of the 1.25 inch up. Even though the 1.25 inch seems to hold a lot more of the dragon eggs and a lot more of the bursting powder, the effect you get out of the 1.25 inch doesn't seem to be any better than the 1 inch. That seems to be the optimal size, and they're actually almost identical size to the plastic cracker balls or crackling balls that you'd get out of China. The other thing I do when I'm making the dragon eggs, I'm not sure if you can see this or not with the camera there, I'll hold it up, but the dragon egg's got a fairly thick layer of prime on it. That's just a black powder prime, but I've also added about 10% of titanium, so when the shell breaks and spits out the stars, there's a bit of a silver sparkle as well as all the crackling going on. Pretty impressive effect. Now, these little Hemis are pretty hard to find, and I'm getting close to running out, so I've been looking for other ways to do this. I've got online and I've bought some cardboard bee tubes. They're called, they're for building bees' nests. I bought those on eBay locally, and they're a branded one. They're probably a bit too thick for what I want to do. Not quite 8 mils, so they won't fit any of my tools or any of the aluminium things I've got. I've bought some off of AliExpress out of China, and they're a bit crappier, a bit thinner. But the good part about that is it fits on my Woody's 5/16 rocket tooling. Now I've cut them down to about 40 millimeters, or about 1.75 inches. I'll put one of those on there. Put a little bit of a scoop of some nozzle mix in there. I don't want to make the full nozzle, but one of those. So that's gone down there. Put him on there. I'll just put him over here and give him a knock. Doesn't have to be in there all that solidly. I'll take him off the tool. It's only a very thin little nozzle. That's given me a little bit of a nozzle in there. What I'll do with that, I'll get a bit of Visco. I'll run a bead of hot glue around it about 1 centimetre from the end of the Visco. Put him in there, and I'll just poke him in there through the hole in the nozzle and get it to when the glue seats there, and that'll hold that just where I want the fuse. Don't think you'll see that from there, but there's probably once again a little bit of fuse pointing through. It's not as important as with the balls to have that bit of fuse poking through, because we're going to fill this right up. The internal volume of this is nowhere near what we've got for the cracker balls there. What I'll do with that, I'll get some dragon eggs, drop them in there. That's probably about 1/4 inch, or just a bit more than 1/4 inch down from the top. I'll then just put a couple of little scoops of black powder in there, tap that down so it drops around. From there, a little bit more. I'm going to take a bit of my hand towel, just fold him over a bit, pop him on the top, use the rocket tool, and just poke that down in there, and that'll give me a nice neat little area that I can fill up with hot glue to plug that end, and then also the other top end I'll just fill up around that fuse, just to really plug that up so you're not just relying on that fairly thin clay nozzle I've poked in there. So that's a B-tube cracker ball. Going to start having to use these. As I said, I'm running out of the little 1 and 1.25 inch Hemis, and they're very hard to get. I'm having trouble finding them, so needed to find an alternative. But that's a couple of ways of making cracker balls. Now there are some quicker ways to do it. Rather than pasting it with the hand towel, you can strap them around the centre with some little, well, fairly thin masking tape. But I'm making these in advance, and I'm going to store them for a while, and I find the masking tape tends to peel off after a little while, where the pasted hand towel never comes off once it's glued in place. The other thing, doing it this way is a much better effect with the balls if you paste it rather than tape it. They just break that little bit better. They don't over break, but they don't just fall open and spew out the eggs, so they do give you a bit of a spread. I have tried making them with a mix of black powder with a little bit of flash in it to get them to break a bit harder, but it does tend to just spread the break out, and as I said, sometimes it blows a few of the dragon eggs out blind, so the effect's probably not as good as if you'd make it with normal black powder. So I'm about to go out and light a couple of these. The first one I'll do is the 12mm, or sorry, not the 12mm, the 1 inch crackling ball. Then I'll do a 1.25 inch crackling ball, and then I'll try one of the ones that I've made from the B tubes, and you'll get a bit of a look at just how the different ones work, and you'll find that the 1 inch and the 1.25 inch are very, very similar. The B tubes don't work quite as well, but they're not too bad. Anyway, I'm going to go outside and light a couple of these, and I'll post the videos of how they go, or I'll tack them on the end of this video. Thanks for watching.